Dr. Marandi. Thank you
Hi,
so much for
Katie.
joining.
Thank you.
So, we wanted to get another update from you because, again, as I said, things are moving so quickly, and also the Western media is so unreliable and so biased. So, what is happening right now? Is there really a ceasefire, and how did this come about?
Well, the Iranians don't call it a ceasefire. They call it a cessation of hostilities. And they said that if the Netanyahu regime carries out any slight attack against the country, Iran will retaliate with full force. Everything is quiet now. We had celebrations after the end of the fighting, and the people came to the streets and across the country. Right now, they're in the process of burying the dead and the martyrs. On Saturday, there will be a huge funeral for those who were murdered in Tehran, and I expect it to be very massive. One of the things that I think we can clearly conclude from all this is that what the United States and what the Israeli regime have done is that they've united Iranians in a way in which I've never seen since the 1980s when Saddam Hussein invaded the country. But right now it's quiet. It's business as usual. During the period of the fighting, it was sort of like Corona. The government allowed most people to work from home, not everyone, but most people. Our weekend is on Thursday and Friday. But on Saturday, it's going to be a regular working days. And apparently there's a lot of traffic coming into Tehran now. So from Saturday, things go back to normal after the funeral, I suppose.
Can you just clarify the difference between a cessation of hostilities and a ceasefire?
Well, there's no agreement between Iran or the United States or any entity. Iran simply said that if the other side stops firing from this hour, this day, then we will refrain from firing back. That's basically it. But there's no agreement. There are no monitors. There's nothing.
How much of the way that the US negotiated, quote unquote, negotiated with Iran has led them to not enter into an agreement with the US? Like, how much did the US kind of waste shoot its credibility?
It's destroyed. The United States never really had a great deal of credibility. I think one major problem is that because of the sense of exceptionalism that exists in among the elites in the United States, they feel that they are above the law and that they don't have to respect agreements. And over the 45 years or so after the revolution, the United States, on every occasion where they had an agreement with Iran, they they violated that agreement, whereas the Iranians always committed themselves to the agreement. And whenever they did violate it, there was no sense of shame or there were no apologies because the United States doesn't feel it needs to apologize to anyone or that it's answerable for anything. The nuclear deal, which was signed in 2015, from day one, Obama began violating the deal, whereas the Iranians were fulfilling their side of the bargain. And then, of course, Trump came and tore up the deal. So as time went by, the mistrust towards the United States increased. But what Trump did was that he destroyed it completely this time around because it became clear that the negotiations were simply a ploy and that behind the scenes, he and Netanyahu were plotting against the people of Iran. So while Witkoff was pretending to negotiate initially, he was reasonable. Then after a couple of weeks, he shifted his position and said no enrichment, which is a violation of Iranian sovereignty. Iran, according to international law, has every right to enrich uranium, and it does so, Katie, because Iran is sanctioned. Iran has a nuclear power plant. It's planning to. It is in the process of building more nuclear power plants, and Iran knows that if it cannot provide its own fuel, then if the United States blocks Iran from purchasing fuel, our nuclear power plants would shut down, and we would have an economic crisis. And for Iran, it's very important to use nuclear energy because we want to export more of our oil, because oil for us creates a lot of wealth. So the more we have alternative energy, the less oil we consume. That's why Iran is building a lot of centers for solar power. So Iran said no. And then still, as they negotiated, it now has become clear that the United States and the Israelis were plotting. In fact, there's information that's come out now or gradually coming out that this conspiracy has been going on for years. But in any case, when Trump said the night before this blitzkrieg attack that he's against war, and then the next day after the attack, he was gloating about it and basically saying that he was a part of it. That destroyed any sense of trust, even though there never really was much, but it's just altogether gone. And I don't see how Iran will ever be able to have any deal with the United States under the current regime. And by the way, one thing that Iran has done is that the Iranian parliament yesterday passed a law saying that it will no longer allow the International Atomic Energy Agency into the country until it feels that its nuclear program is secure. And that could mean forever, because that's something subjective. If you don't feel safe, it's if you say, I don't feel safe, and I say, no, you are safe, that doesn't change anything. If you don't feel safe, you don't feel safe. What Iran has done basically is it has blinded Western intelligence agencies now. So I think that whether the strike on the Iranian nuclear program was successful or not, and if we listen to what's coming from the West, apparently wasn't all that successful. But the harm that it's done to the West is much greater now because the Iran says we're not letting you in. And the reason why they're not letting them in is because the International Atomic Energy Agency refused to condemn the airstrikes on nuclear structures, which could potentially have radioactive leakage, killing people in cities nearby. But the International Atomic Energy Agency refused to condemn it. And the Iranians know that this agency has been passing off intelligence. So this is the punishment that the United States and the West gets for attacking Iran.
I'm curious, did you have any expectation that Trump would be better, worse, the same as Biden? How did the Iranian government see Biden versus Trump?
I don't think they're very different in substance because both of them support the genocide in Gaza. Both of them have been supporting this Holocaust from a human rights and from a humane perspective. Both are fundamentally the same. But I think there are certain things about Trump that make it easier for Iran,
Hmm.
even though he may be more crude and unpredictable, and he constantly changes his position. And that is that Trump says the quiet part out loud. The hypocrisy of the political establishment in the United States is sort of cast aside. There's no mask. You see imperialism, you see racism, everything is there for you to see. And so Trump has isolated the United States in a way in which no other
Hmm.
American leader has done before. And right now, the entire world is almost the entire world. I mean, if you exclude the West and a few of these countries that are bound to the West, the entire world is on Iran's side. The global South, public opinion is on Iran's side. And that I think is because, well, the empire grows weak, but also because Trump is not good at hypocrisy. So in Iran, people hate Trump. But for example, I think that Obama was far more effective than Trump in dividing nations,
Hmm.
in using U.S. soft power, because Obama was the person who actually imposed maximum pressure sanctions on Iran, which killed many Iranians, especially at first because it was a shock to the economy.
Right.
And so people died of a shortage of medicine and that sort of thing. But Obama, because of the way in which he presented himself, because he was of mixed race, his father was black, that there was a certain sympathy for him and a certain uh, attractiveness that he had that Trump does not have. So Trump is more crude. So in a sense, exposing Trump or showing is much easier. Uh, it's much easier to mobilize people against Trump than it was, let's say, for Obama. Biden was not like Obama, but
He was like
still
between those two, maybe.
not at, yeah, perhaps, yeah.